Welcome back to Safer at Home Stories. I'm joined today by Peggy Kelley. Peggy is the owner and operator of Timeless Celebrations and the producer of Late Night Bride. How are you doing today, Peggy?
I'm great, Jared. So good to see you. Thanks for having me on your show.
It's good to talk to you I'm anxious to find out, because you work in the wedding industry through your company, Timeless Celebrations. I'm really anxious to find out how the wedding planning industry has been affected by COVID-19 and Safer at Home.
It has been an e-ticket ride literally since March 16th. We were in Las Vegas at the time and at the special event presenting and doing talks, and literally it was the domino effect. You know, planners were there with their laptops on their lap, getting call after call saying, what's happening? What do we do? Do we cancel? Do we postpone? And it went very, very quickly. Many people canceled, straight out. A lot of people have postponed, and not just postponed once, but now that we're into July, if they were in March, they postponed to June or July. Now that we're in July, they're thinking, well, is it September? Is it October? And then most have postponed until 2021. So it's more than just about the weddings. It's about the whole industry. It's about the vendors. It's about the venues. It's about all of the teams that have worked together to create these very magical days. Now, not everyone did postpone or cancel. We had people that did elopements, and an elopement is actually 2 to 4 people, usually 3 at least, mostly 4, that will come together and say I do, whether it's in their living room, which many did, or maybe step out into their backyard and into a garden. There's also what is called a micro wedding, which is 10 and under. Here again, close, intimate family and friends. Many of those have happened. For a fleeting second, we did weddings got a little bit bigger, probably 20, 30 people. Until recently, where we have all been asked to come back to center and be in a safe environment and stay within your family unit. We really want couples to have their day. So the tagline was celebrate today, party later. So many of them are saying I do today, but then celebrating the big receptions that they've always dreamed about, more than likely next year or the year beyond.
So it sounds like you're really stretching to accommodate all clients what they need for their wedding, whether they're postponing or doing what they have to fulfill their date and their timeline. What would you suggest, though, like if you were to design the perfect wedding event for someone right now, staying safe, what would your personal suggestion to a couple be?
My personal suggestion is to love your guests, to love each other, but also be considerate and love your guests. Many people are doing a small, intimate micro wedding of 10 and under, and then actually live streaming to all of the guests and the guest list. There's a lot of fun things that we can do. With the masks of today, and I should have mine on actually, that you can customize that. You can monogram that. Swag now today is actually monogrammed hand sanitizer, and it's done in a way of telling your guests that you love them and that you want them safe. It's being realistic about what we can do and what we would strongly suggest not to do. And to really think about your story and what is important to you. There was a wonderful setup, with social distancing. All of us have come together, the rental companies have come together to actually design rooms that respect and honor the social distance of 6 feet. So we know how many people to sit at a dining table, which is basically 5. We also know how to set up a ceremony so that seating is staggered. We've really been on it literally 24/7 since the moment this happened, because we know how important weddings are and families are. And most of all, love is. And we don't want anyone to miss their day, but we also want them to be safe. And so, it is about asking a professional to help you. And many of us, even if you don't have a wedding planner, is to get in touch with a planner and do a consultation. I offer free consultations to start, and then an actual consulting by the hour, so that you can get expert advice of someone who is boots on the ground, in the trenches, on it every single day, with the health department, with the rental companies, with the vendors, to make sure that your day is absolutely your way, but more so that it's safe.
You're probably designing weddings like you never thought you would before.
We didn't, what's interesting, what I love is the design aspect. I love storytelling, which but I also love design. And so with doing social distancing, how do you create intimacy through seating when you still have to have them 6 feet apart? And you can actually do it, and do it really well in a very creative way. Instead of having one dance floor, let's have multiple small ones so that you can dance in groups. You can still have a center one, say for the bridal party, but then by table, do smaller banks of dance floors so that people can still distance, but still dance. It's the same thing, like I go back to the swag piece, is, you had a party favor, let's just make it a little bit different. Mm-hmm. Same thing with, you had a photo booth. There's a million ways that you can do photo booths now digitally. So I think what has happened is that the digital age, which has always been there, we just didn't see it because we didn't need it. Mm-hmm. I mean, Zoom's been around for 7 years, but until, this year, did everybody know about it? It just became like Kleenex to the world, in the sense of no matter what platform you're on, people just assume that you're on Zoom. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm a firm believer in meet people where they are. So when people say, well, I have an older audience, or I have, my grandparents, or I have this, I said, trust me, grandparents know how to use Zoom. I learned that at Passover, because that whole community came together in such a rich way, the same way with Easter, where families came together over Zoom to celebrate this amazing holiday. Well, that is just the beginning of what people are doing now.
Mm-hmm. And is Zoom a component of the weddings you've been planning? Are guests attending over Zoom as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because you can stream, you can connect to YouTube, you can connect to Facebook. It has a lot more streaming capabilities than people realize. It's so much more than just having a conversation. You can actually do table groupings. You can do cocktail parties in advance. I use it for fundraising as well as for weddings, and also for business. It's huge for business right now. People that had conferences, they're now coming together and using Zoom, not just for, 20, 30. They're doing hundreds and thousands of people. Streaming will always be here.
Yeah.
We went from live to virtual to what is called hybrid. And hybrid is the combination of live and streaming. And I think that is here to stay forever and ever. From a cost standpoint, from a reach, what we call reach in the business, you can reach so many more people. Like you said, you can include so many more people. Then, your guest count that was 100 can now be 200. Auntie from New York can be there. Your older, our more mature audience that said, I don't want to travel. And and they may not have wanted to travel before, but they really don't want to travel now. Here again, they're not excluded. They're totally here with you. And I just think that the creativity is abounding like never before. It's just, how do I pull in entertainment? We're looking at more live entertainment versus for people who don't want to dance, but they still want to have an entertainment perspective to it. Entertainment, live entertainment, magicians, dancers, comedians. I mean, all of things that we might not have thought about, that we're going to do a DJ or we're going to do a band. Well, now I just got asked for fire dancers, which I've been asked for before, but it was more for just a moment. Now we're choreographing full programs in order to entertain the audience and also keep it in theme and in story with the couple.
And just based off of our conversation today, like, you made me think so much about the adaptability of your industry, and not just in weddings entirely. Like, I've gotten invitations to weddings that were then postponed, so I can see that side of it as a attendee. But I can just imagine all the couples and vendors and conversations you'll be having over the coming months. And with so many postponements, you're going to have a ton of great advice for people too. So kudos to you for.
They have to think wider. They have to think wider, in the sense of it's not just about postponing a date. It's about coordinating your team. And what I mean by team is your vendor team, and to make sure that are they available. And so it is a bit of a domino on it, from the date to the venue to to the caterer, to the, some of it's easy, some of the photographer, not, that's a piece that we're going to talk about a lot on it. And, photography, videography, because they have booked out dates, 2 years in advance. And so when you're changing your date, are they still available? Is their team still there? So what I'd like to really suggest strongly is that if you are in 2020 and you're thinking about moving to 2021, is that you don't hesitate on that. That you look within your heart and say, what is best for us, but also what's best for your guests and your families, and make that decision on it. None of us know. None of us know. But here's the other side of it. None of us are leaving either. And we're going to be right by your side and do our very best to guide you. We can't make the decision for you, but we'll give you all of the information that we have, because we work very closely, with the health departments, with city and state and county officials and what's going on there, with each venue individually. One couple has a multitude of phone calls that go out, and you're handled absolutely individually and with great care, because your wedding is your wedding. And we really want to make sure that it is everything and more, and that this is a story you're going to tell from not just this year, but for many years to come. We're all living in a time where we're all making history every single day that we're here. And I think that that's important to know, that we do it with kindness, we do it with care, but that we do it.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. And it's inspirational how you've adapted, changed, and always stayed positive and kept moving right along despite the conditions of the world. So on a personal level, how are you holding up personally in your life?
I'm by myself. I'm one of those people that I am not married and I don't have children. I have a very forgiving dog, Dudley, that everybody knows Dudley. So, and my family, I am a little bit more mature. My family is gone to the big party in the sky. So I have to say that it's different to be doing this literally on my own, but not on my own, because I've created and am so grateful for a collaborative group of wedding planners that have come together out here in Pasadena to help and support each other, because there's just so much that's coming at us 24/7, and one person cannot handle it on their own. So there's actually 9 of us all together that are helping support each other, whether it's through education, webinars, vendor support, the county, city, state piece of it, keeping current on all that. And we also have that place to come and tilt our head a little bit and go, really? Because you just don't see it coming. I also have my own personal team that we have been together over 30 years, and that amazes me. And we get together and have a family Zoom call on the weekend. It's either Saturday or Sunday. It's kind of like cocktails. And we just talk because we've known each other for so long. And that has really helped, because you don't realize how much your business is a part of you. And, the networking things that you go to and the meetings the in-person meetings, we're all hungry for connection. And when you're creating someone's special day, that's magic. And you get to be with them and get to know them and hang out with them and so it's really important to keep that connection, I think really in place. So, I really live by connection and community. And so I'm active in both, in maintaining. My commitment was to make 5 phone calls a day, always, out for whether it was for a friend, but a lot of times it was to other business owners, because we're all experiencing a lot of the same things. And then also to put it out there, which is, just because I'm a wedding planner doesn't mean I don't know about other things. And so I used to be in the catering business. So I know caterers who may be really great chefs, but they're not marketers. So I created marketing plans for a couple of our caterers just because I know how to do that. And it helped them to make the pivot from catering to delivery. So it's really much about what are we doing. I never look at it as me. It's like, go be part of a we somewhere. It does help. Gratitude helps a lot. Being kind to myself and realize I don't have to work 24/7. I'm grateful, because you can get caught in that. And I think you really have to step back, because I don't think we realize how taxing a Zoom call can be when you're doing them one right after the other, after the other, after the other. And, you get Zoom fatigue. And, they now have a name for it. And you just need to step away and step into the relationships that you have. I live on a great street in Pasadena, and I have amazing neighbors, and we all know each other. And so it's like 5:01 or 6:01, and the dogs are all out on the walk, and everybody kind of connects for a moment, just to remember that we're part of something bigger than what we're in every day. And we get to laugh with each other and see how everybody's doing. We have some older people in the neighborhood. We check on them a lot. We have a teacher who's retired, and I think she's in her mid to late 80s. And just every time I see her and her grandson walk down the street, it just makes my heart sing on it that she's here and she's good and we're okay. So being of service has saved my life on this. And I know I was talking to someone today who is a fellow business owner, and I said, we're kind of like in a big football game this year, and we just finished halftime. And so we're going into the third quarter, and we're going into the third quarter of the year kind of from a business standpoint too. But what happens in the third quarter of a game? A lot of times at the halftime, you kind of reevaluate where you are. and what you're doing. And then, and you readjust and course correct. So then you go out and you play the third quarter. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the third quarter is going to play out, because the best news is we've got the fourth quarter and we can bring it home at that point in time. So, I'm a big football fan, so it just helps me to kind of look at it that way, that we just had halftime stretches, and now we're gonna kick off the third quarter and take the game home and really just win it in the end. But we're gonna do it together, because in every game there's a team, and I love the Pasadena Media team. There goes my phone. Oh, sorry. Should have turned that off. See, one of the 5 phone calls.
Yeah, there you go.
They're just calling back. But I think that I'm so grateful to Pasadena Media for all that they do. Their innovation. They're helping me as a production studio to help others in the nonprofit world. They've always been there for Late Night Bride and has been a real cheerleader for Late Night Bride. They saw it as something of value, and I'm grateful for that. We've laughed hard, and we're going to continue to laugh hard, and change lives, because at the end of the day, we're all here because love is all there is.
That's wonderfully put. And I have one last question I have to ask you. Many of us have rekindled old hobbies or found new ones in this time. Anything you've done that you could recommend to people that's new to you?
I bought a bike. I haven't had a bicycle in a million years. And when I was a kid, I went to Girl Scout camp, and we went canoeing and we went biking for 2 weeks canoeing and 2 weeks biking. And I traveled all over on a bicycle. And then when I got, when I grew up, so to speak, or whatever, I forgot about that. And so a friend of mine got a bike. She said, come with me, I'm going to buy a bicycle. And of course, what happened, I bought one too. And so it's been interesting. I had to go back and find my balance on it. And so that has been really fun to do again. I also created a book club because I live and breathe with books. And there's a group of ladies that came together to do a book club. And the first book we did was Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. And it's all about creativity. And I think during this time that's really important to tap back into our creativity and to believe in big magic, because we're in an unprecedented time, but we're also in a time of unprecedented opportunities. And I think that if we just really keep our eyes and our heart open, we're going to see some amazing opportunities in all of our lives that we would not have seen any other way. And so I think that's been the fun thing is I got to create my first book club and to just get back on a bike and pedal. Just because I need the exercise. Because Dudley, you're in trouble when your dog says, I'm not going for a walk. I'm sorry, I'm done. Because you gotta get out.
Yeah. Well, excellent. I'm really happy to have talked to you today, Peggy. Any final words for the people of Pasadena and the community beyond Pasadena?
Believe in love, because that's what we are. That's what we bring, and that's what we need. Be kind. Be kind to yourself and be kind to others, because we all have stuff. We don't know what anybody's going through. There's been a lot of loss during this time. There's been a lot of grief in this time. I know I've lost several friends that have been important in my life in these last couple months that I was not planning on losing. And so when we come in, when we meet people, just meet them with kindness, because you don't know what's going on with them, and listen deeply. I think before we used to, we would say, how are you? And as almost like a throwaway. And now when I say, how are you? I really want to deeply listen to what you answer on it, because I think more than ever, because of the changes in how we're connecting, we want to be seen and we want to be heard. And so through the art of listening, that we do get to be seen and we get to be heard on it, and people are important. Business is important too. I'm not negating that. But at the end of the day, businesses are run by people, and people matter. So I just think that in this time to live a little lighter, and love a whole lot bigger. Love a whole lot bigger. Thanks.
Thank you, Peggy. It's been great talking to you and sharing your Safer at Home story. So stay safe, and I'm sure we'll see you in the studio again. And until then, we'll be looking out for Late Night Bride virtually online.
It's coming soon. We can't wait to do our first show. All of Zoom.
Thank you.
You bet.